So I've now been on 2 weekend sailings with MSC on the Divina and wanted to let you know which cruise line I currently prefer. Is it Royal Caribbean or is it the MSC? Hey everybody, it's Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, where I go on a weekend cruise just about every single weekend. And I wanted to share with you all my personal thoughts now after I've had, 2 cruises with MSC, not as many as Royal Caribbean, on what I think of the cruise line. And so we're going to break this down in a few different areas to do a little bit of a head-to-head comparison. And this is what I call a personal opinion video. So what I'm going to talk about in here is my perception, my opinion, what I think. So depending on the cruises you've been, the way that you like to cruise and what you like overall, it may vary from what I'm going to say here. So always keep that in mind. I'm going to try to make it an open topic so you can kind of see which of these camps you're going to fall into. So let's jump on into price. So when we talk about Royal Caribbean compared to MSC, I wanted to go through and do a quick price comparison. And so I pulled up just a random sailing on the MSC Seascape as well as the Royal Caribbean Oasis of the Seas, both doing a 7-night itinerary, both leaving the exact same weekend. So it's February 3rd and February 4th of 2024 for 7 nights. And the ships are actually pretty similar. So with that, the MSC inside cabin is going to come in at $449 per person, and the balcony is going to come in at $629 per person. If you're looking at going on the Oasis of the Seas, for a very similar itinerary, it's going to be $691 per person or $843 per person for a balcony. If you are a solo cruiser, those are numbers you're really going to want to pay attention to with MSC because they normally try to do us a solid on most of their cruises. I don't see as much of a pull-through on a solo discount, if you will, with this one. But for an inside cabin for a solo cruise on the Seascape, it's going to be $680 for a solo. For a balcony, it's $1,184. So the inside's about that 150% discount and about a 20% discount, if you will, for the other one, for the balcony. Royal Caribbean, you're not getting any of that. So a solo inside cabin for Royal Caribbean, $1,600. For a balcony, it's going to be $1,865. So if you are a solo cruiser looking at, which one of these cruise lines are the best, you might can just stop right here and be like, Brandon, that is a huge savings. And you can find some, by the way, that don't have a solo supplement whatsoever, a single supplement. They don't charge it to you. They'll just charge you the cost of one person. Very similar to the weekend sailings on the Marigavelia I've got in 2024. I'm doing weekend sailings for $300, y'all, which is fantastic. So for me, the winner on price is going to be MSC. They're going to very similar ports. And because I'm a solo cruiser a lot, I love the fact that they will oftentimes not have a single supplement, or they're going to be charging a lower amount than the full single supplement. Staterooms here, so that can be the second thing I'll talk about. And I wanted to do this as an apples to apples comparison. And so I am very familiar with Freedom of the Seas, my home ship that I'm going back to next month, I think. And so I'm going to compare that to the Divina, the one that I've been on, and they are very comparable ships. The Freedom of the Seas has been a little bit more modified in the common spaces, so the common spaces there are going to be nicer. But let's talk about the stateroom. This is where you're going to spend a little bit of time if you're in your room. Now for MSC, I've stayed in an interior and now a balcony stateroom. And the rooms are dark. And that's because they use darker furniture, darker colors. And even the balcony room that I had, I noticed that it felt dark. And it felt dark because they have tinted windows, which will really help keep the temperature correct in the room. It'll keep it a little bit cooler, but it makes it feel a little on the dark side. It also doesn't have a desk chair. It has a little cube that you pull out and you sit on, similar to Virgin Voyages, but I want a proper desk chair. The couches here, this is some place that I give Royal Caribbean a lot of slack for, is the couches are always dated. That is the same concept on MSC. It is a brown couch and it is dated. For whatever reason, cruise lines just don't value upgrading couches these days. I don't understand it. On Royal Caribbean, your room's going to be nice and bright. So when you walk in, especially if you have a balcony room, it's going to be nice and bright. It's going to be airy. It's going to feel like a good-sized, spacious room because the windows are not tinted and a lot of light can come in. You're also going to have a proper desk chair. Might not be the best desk chair in the world, but it is a desk chair with a back support to it for those of us that like to sit at the computer or sit in front of the mirror just for a really long time looking at ourselves. So for me here, both rooms are going to feel really dated. I mean, apples to apples on Freedom and Divina, the rooms both feel pretty dated. And they have very different styles. And so not saying one style is right or wrong, because I kind of still like both styles. I'm going to go with Freedom of the Seas because I like the lighter, airy feeling. And I really appreciate a desk chair. That little cushion just does not cut it for me. The next one here, the fourth item that I mentioned, I know is a hot topic and a big one for many of you, is what is the food like? So if Royal Caribbean's food is like this, what is MSC's food like, and does it stack up? So, one thing that I will call out here, or caution, is food on ships varies. So your experience from a cruise you did a year ago versus an experience that you're going to have coming up on another year on the same exact ship could be different. Food quality on the ships within a fleet of this size varies. Some ships are going to be doing a fantastic job, while others are going to be getting an F score on this one. So just keep in mind, this is me speaking very generically on what the food situation is. So when I think of the buffets for both Royal Caribbean and for MSC, they're actually quite similar. Like, I'm shocked at how often they serve the exact same kind of foods. I find the buffet on Royal Caribbean to have a little bit more options from the main dining room and a higher end level of food than I find on MSC. The food quality itself is really comparable though. I mean, breakfast and lunch, you're going to get the same exact things that you would get on Royal Caribbean and on MSC, and the food quality comparison is going to be similar. The place I see a little bit of difference is in the evening. If you're not going to the main dining room, I think that Royal Caribbean is going to edge out because they do bring some of their main dining room options in a different presentation, buffet style presentation, to their Windjammer for you to be able to eat. Now, if you have kids though, the buffet on MSC always has like 4 or 5 different pizzas, and they're good. Shouldn't have had 2 slices the other day, but I had to test it to make sure that it was good for you all. So if you have kids that are picky and they just want to eat pizza all the time, MSC is going to be the better option because you don't have to go just to Sorrento's, where the only option is pizza, and you too can still find something. Moving into the main dining room space, it's the same concept again. So main dining room on Royal Caribbean and MSC's serves similar food. I'm really surprised by the level of similarities in the food offerings here, which I guess just makes sense because they can produce it in a very mass situation. The food quality on MSC did seem to be a little bit subpar to Royal Caribbean. The atmosphere is the same, the wait staff is the same, you have a head waiter, you have an assistant waiter, everything works the exact same. I just found the food quality to be a little bit less on MSC. But look, y'all, it is fine. Like, there is nothing wrong with the food on MSC. I know a lot of people say that the food is lesser than Royal Caribbean. I'm going to agree with that. Royal Caribbean will win this food battle, putting them head to head. But the MSC ship, it's fine. Like, it's not bad food. It's going to be absolutely nothing to write home about, but it's not bad food in their main dining room. So the fifth thing that I'll mention is the entertainment. So if you're looking at going to a new cruise line, you want to, how's the entertainment going to stack up? What is it going to be like? And so this is, again, completely personal preference. What you're going to like, what I like, could be very different here. And similar with the food, how it can vary by ships, I found that to be the case with entertainment as well. Some entertainers are amazing, and then I go back to the same ship and the cast has changed or something's different and it's just not as good. So what I have found from my 2 different experiences is, number one, that MSC, they're going to do theirs a little bit different. The reason for this, I think, is because they are more of a true European cruise line and they cater to more of an international crowd. So when you're over in Europe, you can't go 20 kilometers without actually having to need to speak another language, or you're going to be around another language. You don't have to speak it, but you're going to be around other languages. So when they have their shows, they tailor them to where there's not a lot of talking in them. So they're going to have more acrobats, more circus olé, more dance moves, things of that nature that there's no talking, there's no words, that anybody who's watching it can appreciate the talent of the performers on the stage. For their music, they also try to stick to this. So they play a lot of music that are big superstar hits from, all sorts of generations, because they recognize that, wherever you live, you're probably going to know that song. You might not know the language, but you're going to know the song and still be able to sing along. Flipping over to Royal Caribbean, they take a little bit different of approach with their entertainment. Their entertainment is more comedians that come on stage or jugglers that are also comedians. And you're going to have the singer and dancers on the Royal Caribbean ships, which make their own production shows, and they're going to follow a broad generational appeal because Royal Caribbean is trying to appeal to various generations. They want the grandkids, the kids, as well as the grandparents all to come on the same exact cruise, and you're going to see that throughout the shows here. Now on Freedom of the Seas, where I've been a lot, we've been blessed with an amazing cast and very talented performers, and I think that that's one of the wins here. When I went to the Divina the first time, their cast was absolutely fantastic. Like, they kind of blew me away and might have been better than Freedom on that one. Going back the second time, the cast had switched out and they honestly just weren't as good. It's not that they were bad by any stretch of the imagination, but they did not blow me away like that initial cast did. One thing that I also missed on the entertainment factor was on Freedom of the Seas, you're gonna get your ice skating performers that always do a fantastic show. I don't always like their music necessarily, depending on the one that they're doing, but they are always talented people, and I just love the fact that there's an ice skating rink on the ship. So for entertainment, I would say that Royal Caribbean hands down wins because they've got an ice show and they've got more going on. The sixth thing we'll talk about is the private islands. If you are going on a cruise with Royal Caribbean or with MSC, you're going to be going to their private island. So with Royal Caribbean, that's going to be Coco Cay. With MSC, it is going to be their Ocean Key Marine Reserve. So the Ocean Key Marine Reserve, and I have to keep saying key because it's not K in this case, now I got to switch over to key, is beautiful, you all. Like, it is absolutely a gorgeous place. The water in this area of the Bahamas is just, it is beautiful. I love the water here. The beach, the sand, it's so wide, it's so soft. It is an amazing beach experience. The only beach that was a little bit rocky was Sunset Beach, which is my personal favorite, because I was able to go over there and relax, get away from a little bit of the crowd, and it felt like I had my own beach sitting under a palm tree, just loving looking out at that blue water that they had. Downside here, not a lot to do for the kids. So when you go there to the Ocean Key, you're gonna need to figure out what you wanna do. You can get sun, you can get in the water, you can swim out to the platforms. They've got kayaks you can rent and some sailboats. But that's kind of about it. There's no activities that you're gonna find like you're gonna find in Royal Caribbean's Coco Cay. Now when you go over to Coco Cay, the water there is still beautiful. Though when you walk into the water, it's a little bit muddy, you sink down, it's kind of squishy sometimes. And the water's just not as blue. The sand there, it's fine. There's nothing to write home about the sand at Coco Cay like there is at MSC's Ocean Key, but it's a fine experience. It is a more crowded experience at Coco Cay as well because they can get 2 of their Oasis class ships in port at the same exact time, and it just fills up the island. There's gonna be people everywhere. You're not gonna be able to find a beach that you can squirrel away and kind of do your own thing. If you have kids, you're also gonna have a lot more to do here, which is certainly a win. So they're gonna have a sports area where they're gonna have basketball, volleyball, ping pong. They've got all sorts of stuff that's going on there. You're gonna have the Oasis Lagoon pool, the largest pool in the Caribbean that you can go to. You're gonna have that hot air balloon, and then you're gonna have Thrill Water Park that you can also do, and the kids love this. Though some of these, like Thrill Water Park, comes with an additional fee. So you can go there, but know that you're gonna have to pay more to get in there, and the cost of that can be $100 per person, if not higher. The other thing I'll mention about private islands is gonna be the food on the private island. Both MSC and Royal Caribbean's private islands will come with a buffet that you can choose from. In my opinion, I feel like the food quality over at MSC wasn't higher end food quality. They had higher end protein, so they had like a fish, they had better meats. They still have ribs, something that Royal Caribbean took away like 4 years ago from us. And so Royal Caribbean's food is gonna be more boilerplate. It's gonna be a lower grade of food than what you're gonna find at MSC. Though I will say that Royal Caribbean has cracked the code on having a good flow of people to go through the lines, even with there being more people there, because they open more venues, it's easier to get to the food. On MSC, they only opened up one of their buffet restaurants that had 2 lines, and it was a long line. It would take a good amount of time to walk through the line and pick up everything that you wanted. And if you wanted to go back for seconds, you're gonna have to wait through that line all over again. So for me here, the winner's actually gonna be Ocean Key Marine Reserve. I love their beach, I love their sand. I can get over the food thing, I can go back to the ship and just get it. But I love having an island that feels like it's to myself over at Sunset Beach. And I'm to that stage of my cruising life where I kind of want to get away from the crowds a little bit. I don't need to be a part of that all the time, and I love just feeling like I had the island to myself. Now, the seventh thing that I'll talk about before I switch into my overall thoughts are the loyalty programs of the two cruise lines. And the reason that I mention this is because MSC offers a status match opportunity. If you have status with Royal Caribbean or any other cruise line, just watch this video here to make sure you're getting all the freebies for your first MSC cruise and you know how to status match into their program. Now, I am the top tier in both of these programs. In Royal Caribbean's program, that is the Pinnacle Club, where I earned that by just going on way too many cruises. On MSC, on the other hand, I am a Diamond Club member in their Voyagers program, where I didn't earn it. I simply just status matched into their absolute highest tier, which is pretty cool. So I think that that's a win right there, is that I don't have to actually earn that. I can just get bumped into it already. Now, when I look at Royal Caribbean's loyalty program, they offer a lot of perks. The first one is going to be free Wi-Fi for one device per sailing in the Pinnacle Club. And so if that is a 7-night, if it's a 14-night, I am getting free Wi-Fi on one of my devices the entire time. That's a huge cost savings. The second thing that I'm going to get is 6 drinks valued up to $14 every single day of my cruise. The next thing that they're going to do is they're going to give you gifts, or amenities they call it, throughout the voyage. And if you're on a 7-night sailing, that can be up to 3 bottles of wine delivered to your stateroom. You can get a box of chocolates, or you can get some logo tote bag style items that you can also take with you. And the next thing, this is a big one for a lot of people, on the big ships, you're going to get access to Coastal Kitchen. As long as there's not too many Pinnacles on board, you're going to be able to go into the suite area to have dinner, which is an enhanced experience than the traditional main dining room. And you're also going to get access to the suite lounge on any ship as a Pinnacle Club member, which is also a really nice perk. Over on MSC, they don't have quite as robust of a program. They've got a lot of the similar benefits, but the big ones to me is, number one, they give me a free specialty restaurant for their tasting menu. So I can't go to the specialty restaurant and order whatever it is that I want. They have a tasting menu, and I've gone to their sushi restaurant twice now, and I really enjoyed that experience. I thought that this was a great perk for me. They're also going to have Spumante. I think I'm saying that word right. I'll list it out here. Spumante, there we go. And that is going to be a bottle of sparkling wine that they're going to deliver to your cabin. They're going to deliver macarons, which are one of my absolute favorite things. And they give me like a good number of these. As a solo cruiser, like, I love the fact that I get to eat all of these myself. I'm going to get a bar of dark chocolate as well, which is just really nice to snack on every now and again. And there's other benefits that they do for longer sailings, but I haven't got the benefit to do those yet because all my sailings are under 4 nights. The winner here is hands down going to be Royal Caribbean. Their loyalty program is very robust and it is fantastic. I mean, the value just in the Wi-Fi and the free drinks that I get blows away anything that MSC could do. But you know what? MSC is doing a really good job marketing this to non-drinkers. So Royal Caribbean's program loses a ton of value because I just don't drink alcohol. I can drink a ton of espresso, but I don't drink alcohol. And so I'm losing a lot of value there. And I feel like, you know, even for non-drinkers, Royal Caribbean is still going to win, hands down. But MSC's program gets much better if you're a non-drinker and looking for some different options. Overall thoughts. You're going to get what you pay for. So as you saw in the very first example that I gave, MSC can be considerably cheaper, especially if you're going to be a larger family that's going on a cruise or you are a solo cruiser. Price is going to make a huge difference. And should you choose MSC over Royal Caribbean, Royal Caribbean is going to be a better experience overall. With that being said, is it worth the price difference to get to that better experience? To me, it's going to depend. I go through phases on how much money do I have? What do I want to do? Did I just book 5 other cruises this month? And this next one, should I try to pull back and cut back some? I'm getting to where I like to go back and forth on, do I need that nice of an experience every single cruise? Not really. MSC is a fine cruise line. They are not a bad cruise line. They're not going to be as good as Royal Caribbean, but I think that that's okay for the cost savings that is out there, for the value that they are delivering at that price point. I think is an absolutely fine cruise line, and I'm personally looking forward to doing more MSCs in the coming months. All right, everybody, this is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, hoping to see you on a Royal Caribbean or MSC sailing soon.